Jordan, and I'm in studio with...
I am Madzi.
And...
Kim Dominique Ferguson.
And our guests have arrived, but before we get into the guests and talking about their business, we're going to talk about the weekend.
My client went there today and he was like, what? You know, like, you were able to do all of this, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, we are back, and you are listening to Soul Perspectives here on CKUT 90.3 FM. My name is Renee Jordan, and I'm in studio with...
I am Madzi.
And...
Kim Dominique Ferguson.
And today we have a special guest.
Yes, we do have a special guest in the building today. She goes by the name of Jackie Mall. She is the founder and owner of Elegance Natural Hair Salon, and it is the first natural hair salon in Montreal. The longest running, well, obviously, if it's the first. And she's also a visual artist and has a exhibition up at CKUT Cafe on Sherbrooke Street, and the exhibition is called The Essence of Locks. Jackie, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What made you decide to create Natural Elegance Hair Salon?
I started off a long time ago being a braider. You know, anybody that's a braider, it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. But I got a chance to realize that, you know, all that time and energy that I was putting into it, after 2 months, usually for all that hard work, they basically put it in the garbage after. Mm-hmm. So I wanted something to create at least a hairstyle that's going to be more, you know, long term, and that's how I started getting into working with natural hair. And also it's a movement for me, for women, especially for black women, to be able to accept their natural hair. And I got a chance to have that journey for myself, and I wanted everybody to get that opportunity to explore that. And basically that's pretty much it. It's for me, locks is my art. I'm an artist, and I get a chance to watch people's hair grow and watch them grow through the experience.
Nice. And so what was the impetus that made you decide to actually have the salon itself? Like you wanted to do locks, but then you had to make a decision to go into getting the salon and stuff like that. Tell us a bit about that journey.
I worked in a hair salon that basically, there was a little bit of a conflict over natural hair and chemical, but it's a silent conflict. And I realized over that period of time at that salon that I was not really, what I was creating was not really welcomed in a way, and I realized that I just did not fit in that chemical environment doing natural hair, because you have two type of people looking at beauty in different ways,
right?
You know, so the girl that has the perm and the girl that's getting a hair twisted or dreaded, you know what I mean? There's a conflict of interest, and I just didn't belong there anymore, and I just wanted to find my peace, and that's how I created Natural Elegance.
Great. And you're also a visual artist. How did you come to visual art?
I studied creative arts in college, and I've always been in the arts since the age of 3, pretty much, from theater to, you know, just dance. It's just that my imagination is a little bit different than the norm, which, you know, sometimes it kind of helps me out to kind of stand out a little bit different from the rest of the crowd and in what I want to create. With my locks, this is a lock journey for me. This is a labor of love. The Essence of Locks is a book basically just showing the beauty of locks, but not just portraits, but, you know, kind of taking it to another level of creating different kind of characters. And the Essence of Locks is at the CKUT, and you're going to get a chance to see where my imagination could go.
Right. So I was looking through your book earlier, and there's a lot of familiarity with the images. So it's photographic images that have been staged. And tell us a little bit about the images that we have here, and what was your inspiration, and like the names of some of the images as well.
Okay. Well, you know, as a young girl, I always was in love with Walt Disney and, you know, fairy tales and fables. So I decided, why not recreate these characters wearing locks? So one of my favorite pictures is the witch that's giving, I call her Black Snow instead of Snow White. I call her Black Snow and the Wicked Bitch. I have, instead of Little Red Riding Hood, she's Little Black Riding Hood. I do a picture where I'm actually Wonder Woman, but I call her Wonder Dread. I have Sherlock Holmes, which I actually spell it Surelocks, Sherlocks, you know.
Yeah, so sure with his locks.
Sure with his locks. I do Rastocchio, which is Pinocchio, but my Pinocchio has dreads, and that's Rastocchio. I do Super Dread, which, you know, which is the iconic picture that we know when we think about Superman coming out of the telephone booth, but mine has an SD for Super Dread. So yeah, I just have a lot of fun just creating, you know. I have Lock Hatter, I have Michael Jackson if he had dreads. I just like to play with my imagination, and my clientele, they're all my models. They actually enjoy participating in this because they never done anything like this before. So it gives them an opportunity to try something new. And yeah, but I usually make sure that I cast the right people for each character and give them an experience of, you know, getting outside of the salon and coming into the world that I created for myself on my artistic side.
How do you stage some of these images? Because some of them seem to be in different places, not necessarily Montreal.
Well, the thing is, Photoshop. I just want to give a big shout out to my graphic artist, Tani, and also to Christopher. Yeah, sometimes I rent out the studio, or sometimes some of these pictures are actually outside.
Right.
It's like we kind of take ghetto to another level when you actually see the result. But yeah, it's just the fact that, you know, just coming up with the costumes. I have a costume designer, her name is Anne. Makeup artist, her name is Vanessa. Also a Cuvée. I actually do a lot of the jewelry and stuff like that you'll see in the presentation. But I have assistants and stuff like that actually help me bring this project to life.
Yeah. So you brought in the studio for us an 8.5 by 11 book. But the images that are exhibited at Shaika Cafe are actually significantly larger.
Yeah, I have a problem with measurements.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm really not really good at taking measurements, so some of my posters end up becoming to be very large.
Right.
But it really has more of an impact than just seeing it by 8 by 11. You know, so it really does make the cafe, Shaika Cafe, 5526 Sherbrooke and Old Orchard, it kind of really brings that place to life.
Yeah, and so there's something interesting because you're Afro-descended, and there's Afro-descended images of people in Shaika Cafe, and the clientele is usually Euro-descended people, aka white people.
Yeah.
So, like, how has that... What has the impact been? Like, what have people been saying? What have you had to do in order to, like, I know there was a lot of, we spoke earlier, and there was a lot of commentary that you had to kind of start answering questions and stuff. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the people, like, looking, they don't realize that all those images that they're seeing, that's actually their real hair.
Right.
I have one picture up there, I call it, instead of Rapunzel, I call it Lockpunzel. And she's been growing her locks for 17 years. She's been my first client for, 17 years is a long time. But people don't believe that's actually her hair. And her hair is like past her knees.
Right.
So she was the only one that actually could be that character. I think the question more is, if their hair is real.
Right.
So the owner, the son that also works there, he was telling me that people are really curious about this whole dreadlock thing and if their hair is real and stuff like that. So I will be leaving a box where people can write their comments and stuff like that and their information that I could get back in touch with them, so I could at least just clear their mind that yeah, everybody's hair is real in this production.
And what do you hope is the impact of showing people and also showing Black people images of people with locks in these type of situations?
Reimagine classics.
Well, yeah, it's just like I said, it's like fairy tales and fables. It's like instead of Cinderella, I'd rather Lockerella. Instead of Dracula, I prefer Dreadula. You know, so it's just the fact that I'm just kind of making a little spin on the characters that we know, but wearing locks, and just creating a new image for ourselves with these characters.
Well, what do you think is the image that people have of locks?
Well, you know, it's just the fact that, you know, there are so many different images that people have about locks where sometimes, you know, I'm a loctician, you know, and I have 20 years under my belt of being a loctician, and I've had to deal with a lot of different situations. A lot of my work being a loctician is also psychological.
Okay.
Dealing with, you know, people having situations growing up with their hair, what is beauty, you know, what is Black beauty, the whole nappy hair, the kinky hair, and, you know, and now, you know, coming into a natural world, learning how to embrace their hair through wearing locks or twists or afro, and you know what I mean? It's we've gone through so much, you know what I mean, about what beauty is.
Yeah.
And a lot of suffering, a lot of suffering from the perm world. You know, my whole thing is going natural is just being free, you know, and it's just that sometimes people are really scared to take that step.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because it's like sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but it's also kind of easy. I meet a lot of people, like I said, psychologically, that, you know, being taught to not love their hair. You know,
Right.
Growing up, oh, your hair's so nappy, your hair's so hard, and, you know, so they had a lot of conflicts, and so I deal with a lot of people that get to overcome it, being a loctician and letting them embrace their natural hair.
What do you tell them? How do you walk them through it?
Oh gosh, I have so many different steps. I have so many different steps. I mean, I don't really just take on a client just like that. I do a consultation. I get to meet everybody first. And I would usually just ask them why they want to go natural or why they want to have locks. And if it's something that they've been wanting to do for a long time. A lot of people, they see images of locks and they think it's going to happen right away.
Yeah.
This is such a long process and you have to have a lot of patience. And I always tell people it starts inside out, not outside in. I can help you on the outside. You understand? But you have to actually help me as well as we're going through the process.
Yeah.
Because you have negative and you have positive as you're going through this, you know, journey. And you have to be strong enough to deal with the ignorance. You know what I mean? That's people are gonna sit there and be saying, "Why are you doing your hair like that?"
Yep.
They think that we don't wash it. They think it's we can't really accomplish a lot of things in our life on a professional level. I just want to say for myself, at Natural Elegance, a lot of my clientele are in really high positions. That makes me really proud to see them come in and have the positions that they have when you have to deal with people trying to give you doubt that you can't get to where you want to go wearing dreadlocks.
Yeah. No, I had to deal with that last year, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I started growing locks, and I had them twisted and everything, and there was a lot of comments about my hair, and I was just like, I got fed up, and I decided, you know what, it's easier for me to just cut it off. And it sucks in retrospect.
How did you feel though? How did you feel like when you let it go? Like how did you feel? How long did it take you to recover from that decision?
From cutting them off?
Yeah.
Because the pressure came off right away, right? So like, I was fine with it after a while because I didn't in my life. It's not like my locks were really long or anything like that. They literally were in the infancy stage. I had grown my hair for a while and then got them twisted, and people were like, "Oh, you know, you don't like them, right? You don't like them," and I'm like, I know it's not gonna look beautiful the first time. Like I just got them done, you know. So it's gonna take a lot of time. My hair's my curl is not really tight. You know, there's a whole bunch of like stuff that goes into it and the care and I just wasn't getting the support from certain people around me, and it was just like.
Well, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
You have the negative, you have the positive, you have the negative, you know, and there's a lot of pressure of wearing locks that people don't really realize. But
Yeah.
you know, as a loctician, this is what I'm there to sit there and support my clients going through this process and making sure that they still feel good within themselves and their decision.
What would be a situation where you would tell someone no? Because you say you have a consultation and you're like, okay, so there might be some people that you don't take. What would be a situation where you're like, no, it's not for you?
Okay. Yeah, you know, oh boy, oh gosh.
You don't have
Because
to
I
give,
mean,
like, a
you said
real
you have
example.
people who are working in high positions. Like it seems like you have all the points in there to convince someone. So why would you tell someone no?
Well, my whole thing is if you're going to come to natural elegance and you have natural hair, please don't wear a wig on top of it. Because then
Well, some people they start their dreads and they wear a wig on top while they're starting them.
Yeah, well, you know what? You have to figure out who you want to be. You understand? Because Tina Turner doesn't have to sit there and be Lauryn Hill either. You know what I mean? So I do collect wigs. The worst thing that you could ever do is wear a wig at Natural Elegance on top of your beautiful natural hair, because basically it's like you're stifling the power of your strength, of your being, and it's insulting to me because then I don't know how to help you as a natural hair specialist, because I see that you're already conflicted. So you're coming in with a conflict, you're having me conflicted, and we need to talk about what is your insecurity to actually wear a wig on top of your beautiful natural hair.
I will ask the question. I'm wondering, is it always a case of insecurity? I'm so sorry, I can't see. Is it always a case of insecurity when a black woman or natural kinky haired woman is wearing a wig? Can it be a protective hairstyle? Or do you
That's
think
why
there are
we have
indications?
hats, so you don't need to wear a wig.
Okay.
You know, no, it's just the fact that it's my whole thing is when you take that decision to go natural, you know, you should be able to sit there and be in there 100%. I don't think this should be a situation where you're confused. My whole thing is, you know, and a lot of people like preference, but my whole thing is, you know, there's different ways of changing up your look with your dreads without having to cover it with a synthetic wig. And usually it looks horrible, you know, and their hair looks beautiful, and I can't believe that they want to hide it. I just want women to embrace their natural hair and go through the journey 100% and not be confused.
Let them go in a way, and they haven't really been seeing a loctician. What are the benefits of seeing a loctician, and how do you help them in terms of growing it out and getting, and maybe in terms of because you mentioned cleanliness and such. What are the ways for care, and what do you teach them?
Oh, well, I teach them everything. I mean, basically, a lot of my friends are very busy, you know, and they just really like to just come to the salon and just get their hair washed, I condition, I groom everything. You know, I don't use a crochet, there's no beeswax, it's very natural what I do. But, you know, just basically just getting, you know, with my technique and stuff like that, just making their hair look nice and neat. It's not something that you have to do on a regular. Like my process with my technique that I do, it's something that you have to do every 2 months. And, you know, I built a lot of friendships through my salon. I don't really call them my clients, I could call them my friends. And just get them to relax. The thing is, I also study psychology, and so my mother always screams at me, she says, "Are you a loctician or are you a psychologist?" And I said to her, "Unfortunately, Mom, I do both."
Yeah.
You understand? So as I'm, making them feel good about themselves and cleaning their hair and, greasing their scalp and oiling everything and making their hair shine, I get to hear what's going on at work, what's going on with the family, what's going on in their life, you know what I mean? And be able to sit there and work while making them feel good, but also letting them get a chance to talk and just have somewhere to let it out, whatever they're going through.
Yeah, that's always been my experience with my barber. At one point I was just apprenticing, and he said, "Kim, barbers are psychologists, they're therapists."
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people come into that chair and, they might spend 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on the barber. They'll probably end up solving or resolving or presenting several different solutions to a problem.
Yeah.
And I wonder though, is that a cultural thing or is that universal?
I think it's cultural.
Well, my place is private, so basically there's no one listening in.
No. I meant because it's not unique to any one barber shop or salon in terms of like within the Black community. I've always found that that there's that kind of element of like, we're gonna talk out whatever issues we're going through, and sometimes multiple barbers will get involved in the conversation. Sometimes it's only the one barber. So I was just wondering, spontaneously, like, is that something that the other people do as well?
I'm not too sure, but it's like I could always tell when my clients are stressed. Just do their hair, and
Yeah.
even when they
Really?
yeah.
What would be the difference that you would say?
The dryness. Sometimes people will lie. You know what I mean? Because they want to come across like everything is all cool and stuff like that, and I'll say, no, your hair is telling me a different story.
Yeah.
What's going on? Because it's like stress takes on, there's different forms.
Yeah.
But I could always tell it in the locks, and when I could see it in their hair, I will
So
tell
you're
them.
like a lock whisperer.
I am. I'm like a lock Nazi. I'm like a lock whisperer. I'm a lot of things. But the thing is, it's like I could, people's here talk to me.
Yeah.
And you don't want to. I'm saying it on the radio now. People are gonna be really scared. But I'm really sensitive with my hands, and I can feel a lot of energy, and I can always tell when somebody is not doing well, especially to the locks, because the hair speaks to me.
Yeah. It changes.
It changes texture, it starts breaking, it starts, and some people, they don't realize, like, they figure, oh, well, I have locks, and it's like, how could she tell? Well, it's energy. Your hair is energy, and I feel it because I'm touching it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, I completely agree, because not just like on a professional level, when I tell clients that you can't lie, the scalp will tell on you.
Yeah.
So clients sometimes will say that they've washed their hair and like, yeah, I washed my hair 2 weeks ago. But the amount of sebum and dandruff that's on your scalp is completely different. And on a personal level, I also believe in hair is spiritual.
Yes.
So if you're navigating depression and you're navigating some form of mental illness, it will manifest itself on your body, all your organs, but also your hair.
Yeah.